Go flat tracker. Go flat tracker. Go, go, go. Go flat tracker. Go flat tracker. Go, go, go. Go flat tracker. Go flat tracker. Go, go.
The Clever Flat Track Pod is brought to you by our partners: 193 Racing, MX Inc., Classic Wheel Spokes and Otway Hydro Blasting, Rider Sport, Euroka Fencing, and of course, Clever Flat Track products. They support us, so go support them. Now on to the episode. Go Flat Tracker.
So we're going to stop talking about body odor for a minute and reintroduce the Clever Flat Track Pod. Here we are. Finally got our shit together. I was running late, held everyone up like you should on a first date. And we've got it going now. We've got Jim Jobling here. I feel like I've got the Rat Pack on the line, and Tom Norby. And welcome Jim and Tom. Good to be back. This is our third one for the year. But it's actually an exciting one because you're going to be able to give us 2 event recaps in the one night, which I thought about this afternoon. I thought, that's a bit cheeky. We're getting a 2-for-1 deal here because Jim's been recently over to the Burt Munro in New Zealand and then just been up at the Akubra Classic at Kempsey as well. So looking forward to getting a little bit of insight of both, if you don't mind.
No, definitely. I probably would have paid a bit more attention to the results at the Akubra if I knew that. But I know a couple of them, but not all of them. But yeah,
it doesn't matter. We don't need need the full results, just atmosphere and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But so I know you now, but I've gotten to know you over the last year or so through Tom. You and Tom used to sidecar race together.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do anymore, if you just shit talk each other nowadays or what it is. I'm not sure what you get up to. But,
sometimes.
But I didn't know a lot about your motorcycle racing side of your life and what you had done and how you got into it and like 2 wheels and that sort of stuff as well. And me knowing a few of the guys in New Zealand just through the podcast and talking to them and everything, when you headed over there looking for some bikes and that, I had some discussions and people asked me, what's he like at riding now? I said, well, I have no bloody idea. I've seen him on 2 wheels. So tell us a bit about your motorcycle background.
Typical, Aussie kid, I guess. I was on a Pee-wee and stuff when I was younger, but it's sort of been in the family for a long time. My uncle, Darryl Woodhead, he raced sidecars for 40-odd years. And then my stepdad, he was Laurie Asker, he was my stepdad for 12 years. He raced sidecars as well in the 80s and all that with his brother, and then into the 2000s with Greg Banks. So sort of grew up around it all, and then always wanted to race when I was younger, but we sort of never had the money and stuff like that to do it. So I just sort of had to wait till I was old enough to buy my own bikes, and then eventually I bought a 250 and did a bit of club days and stuff like that at North Brisbane, and then let it go again, started working, got some more money, and then got the Husky around 2015, and that's when I sort of started doing a heap of club days and a heap of stuff at Tamworth, Coffs, Curry and Gunnedah, and and then 2017 jumped on the sidecar. I'd swung before as a kid, but never in a race, just around like the farm and that was, so jumped on the side of who did I swing for? I swung for bloody Darren Fiend down at Mildura and Scotty Sando in 2016, actually, at the East Coast Sidecar Roundup. That's when I chopped my finger off. I think you were there for that one, weren't you, Tom?
Yeah, actually I was in the crowd for that one.
Yeah, ran up the back of Brownie and ended up with me buddy Pinky, looking like a bit of, she doesn't bend anymore. That's as much as I've got. So, but yeah, swung, and then once that sort of happened, I swung a couple more times, like passenger on sidecar, and then decided to buy my own. So I was in a bit more control of me fate, if you could say that. But yeah, so that was sort of the start of it all, and then got a little 600, ended up blowing that up, and then got the 1,000 and raced full on with my cousin Ben for 2018 and 17, 18, 19, and then sold it in 2020, just with stuff going on, COVID, and then separation, all that sort of stuff, and wasn't going to race anymore, and then decided, as we all do, as soon as I sold it, I wanted to build another one. So probably shouldn't have sold the one. It would have saved me about 20 grand, but whatever. So ended up building the new bike and then getting into it and looking for a passenger, and sort of you want someone you can trust and who has done it before if you can. Like I was still learning to ride to a degree. So that's when Tom jumped on and was keen as. So we did the 22-23 season, and unfortunately at the Aussies in 23 down in Albury, we had a stack, and I ended up breaking my neck and my back in 8 places. So I wasn't sure sort of whether or not I was going to race again, or everyone, like all my family, was sort of against it all and all that sort of stuff. So that's when I was out of the game for, I don't know, 7 or 8 months, and sort of said to Tom, like, he's not getting any younger, so he may as well, you know, if there's an opportunity there, like, grab it. And especially, you know, Matty's a good rider and all that sort of stuff. So it's glad he could jump on with someone who's going to have a go and you know, not just sort of sit in the shed and all that sort of stuff, and actually get out there and have a race. So yeah, that's sort of where we sort of separated. And then I eventually, you know, as we all are, couldn't resist it, and I was like, oh, I just want to have a go and see how I feel. And as soon as I did a couple laps, I was sore and all that sort of stuff, but I was like, what else am I going to do? You know, I'd probably turn into a piss pot if I didn't race. So I just ended up doing it again. So been back into it for, you know, half of last year, and then the start of this year we just did the Akubra on the weekend. So that was our first race for this year, apart from riding at the Bird, obviously. But yeah, it's just sort of getting back into the full swing of it. So it's been pretty good. But yeah, I don't know, I'm keen to do a bit more, so, and just see where we can end up, and try and give Matty and Tom a run for their money at the Aussies in Brisbane in a few weeks' time. It's only bloody 3 weeks away. 3 or 4 weeks away.
Yeah, something along those lines, yeah.
22nd, 23rd of March. So, yeah, not long at all. Yeah, so that's a bit of a recap of sort of where I started out. And, you know, along the way I've had some stops and starts with you know, life gets in the way sometimes, but always sort of come back to it, because, I don't know, you can't really beat riding a bike, I don't think. So it's not much else I'd rather do.
You do miss it. Like, I had a 10-year hiatus off motorcycles from when I moved over from New Zealand to when I got back on one, and I'm bloody glad I did it. But so tell me, how did the Burt Munro Challenge come around? And just tell us a bit about all that.
Yeah, well, I think most people saw that the World's Fastest Indian movie back when it came out around 05 or around that time. And my mum and stepdad Loz actually went over in, it would have been like 07, around about that time. They went over to the Burt just to have a watch, you know, and it was still in its first sort of couple of years. And I would have only been 10 or 12 at the time. So I remember hearing about it and all that stuff. And they went back a couple of times. And then it was sort of always something I wanted to do, but just never had the capability to go over. And we went over, me and my wife Shannon, we went over in 2023, and just as spectators, just to have a watch and a bit of a holiday. We just went for a week, and I was hooked as soon as I went there, and I met a few people, and just watching was like, if I come back, I have to ride. I have to figure something out. And I was just lucky enough that the few people I did meet over there at the time, and then also the NZ Flat Track boys on the Facebook, NZ Flat Track group, I think it's called, or I'm not sure the Facebook group. Yeah, New Zealand Flat Track group, that's it. Yeah, there was a bike on there. Wayne Drake was kind enough to lend me his DRZ 400, and then Dave Hedgehog that I met, he's from Tiarnau, I think it's called, in the South Island. He organised the 08 Honda 450 for me to ride on the beach race. So, yeah, it was really, really good, and I was sort of umming and ahhing about it, and then once they said they had the bikes and stuff, and I was all in. So I booked the flights, and we ended up going for 2 weeks this time and made a whole holiday of it, you know. So it was awesome, and yeah.
So for those people that don't know what the Burt Munro Challenge is, it's a celebration of Burt Munro, the world's fastest Indian. He was a Kiwi that went over to America and set the land speed record on his, I can't remember what year that Indian Scout was, but yes, but anyway, it was a pretty. I don't think it's been beaten, has it? I think it's still. He
still holds one of them. I think one or two, because he set like 5.
Yeah,
4 or 5 for like different.
I think he set 7, and he's got 2 still standing.
Yeah.
So anyway, Invercargill was where he was from, and so they have a big celebration of his life and his achievement there, and have a few different race events. So they do slightly change over the years. When I went, they had the hill climb, which is a bitumen hill climb, the beach race, a street race, which I believe they're not having anymore, the Speedway Spectacular, which now includes flat track and road circuit race. So that was all on when I went. I think they threw Supercross in. The year I was going, I was actually going because they used to have long track as well at the trotting track, but the year that I'd signed up for it, it actually got canned, and that's how I learned how to supermoto, because I went, oh, I was all ready to go. What am I going to do? So I
They knew
bought
you
some
were coming.
supermoto wheels and sent them to New Zealand and got my cherry on supermoto.
Yeah, they must have
But,
had you were coming. The insurance wouldn't cover it.
yeah, probably. But now they've got flat track, and I haven't been able to get back there yet for it. I think this was the second year of flat track, isn't it, or the first year?
No, second year. They ran
Yeah,
it
second.
last year. It was pretty wet, apparently.
Yeah,
and
it rained. Yeah.
I think Damien Coppy from Townsville, he went over last year and he actually won it. But I think he was on 2118 setup. So that was sort of the first incarnation, and they were trying to get more people to turn up. So they were a bit more lax with, your setup and all that sort of stuff. And I think they were saying that with the conditions, he was like 2 seconds a lap quicker. So it was sort of wasn't as an even playing field, as it was this year with everyone on the same 1919 setup. So, yeah.
And so tell us, since we're talking about it, tell us your thoughts and what you thought about because they don't call it the Speedway Spectacular anymore. I noticed either. It's got a official sponsor name, I think.
Yeah, the Super Shelley Speedway. I think Super Shelley is like a real estate agent.
Oh yeah.
If I saw on a card in there, so they must be the sponsor. So it's a Super Shelley Speed or Already Park Speedway or whatever. Yeah, they Speedway something. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Like it's an awesome venue. Like when we went to watch, like they got like semi trailers the whole way around, and it's just packed. And then it's sort of like sunken in. If you look it up, like it's a sunken in, so you're over the top of the track, and you're probably a meter away from the wall. When you're sitting up there. So it's an awesome atmosphere, and there's no lights, I don't believe. So but it gets pretty dark. It gets dark pretty late over there anyway. So they started at 3:00, and I think we're out of there by about 7:30, 7 o'clock. So
Wow.
It's right next to the rally site. So they have a motorcycle rally where there's a big booze tent and a bit of a party goes on as well. I'm assuming that's still the same.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you went there afterwards, didn't you?
Oh, every night. I think they have it on. Because we got because last time we went, we got hotels, but it rained a fair bit, so we were like, I'm and ahhing about camping, and obviously because we're coming from Australia, it's a bit of an investment to buy camping gear and all that sort of stuff. So we thought we'll just get a hotel again, but we ended up getting out there for the Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights to the rally site. So that was really good. I think it goes till about 2:00 in the morning. So it's live music and cheap grog. So you can't complain about that.
Definitely not. And so was there a good crowd at the Speedway? It looked like the weather held up. Looked like you had good numbers in the class as well.
Yeah, I think we got half an hour of rain the whole 2 weeks that we were there. It was like 20 degrees or hotter and blue skies the whole time. Like I did the beach race as well the day before. Normally it's pretty overcast and they're sort of a bit iffy with weather and all that sort of stuff, but it was perfect the whole time. So yeah, and then there was a big crowd as a result of it. There's always a pretty big crowd because of the bike rally, but it looked packed to me. So.
Yeah. And how many entrants were in the flat track, do you know?
I think there was 19. So.
Oh, yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, because they run 15 in a heat. There's 3 grids of 5, and you rotate through. Everyone gets a heat. You do 3 heats. Everyone gets a heat on the front, middle, and back. And the way it worked, because there was a sort of odd number of riders, everyone missed 2 rounds. So I did the first round. I missed the second and third. Then I did the 4th and 5th round. So.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it worked out really good.
And what was it like? Had you ever just jumped on a bike to race it straight up before? Like, it's a bit of a different thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's no practice. So there's no practice. But practice was heat 1. So it was a bit different, especially the DR is a bit different to me Honda or me Husky. Like, it's a bit heavier, a bit bigger, but it was all set up, and Drake does a good job he can pedal that thing. So I got on there and it was a bit steady out the gate, especially like that track's a bit different. Like it was Shaley on top. I thought it was going to be a bit like Tamworth, but it was actually sort of almost like a blue groove down the bottom and then deep out wide. So once I figured it out by the repechage, the last chance qualifier. But yeah, I had fun, so it was a good time.
Yeah, I remember when I went and raced in Christchurch, he gave me the choice of the DR or the RMZ, and I said, "Oh, the RMZ looks a bit more like what I want to ride." And yeah, and then he told me, because I didn't know there was no practice, and he said, "Oh no, it's just straight out to race." Alrighty. So straight into, but
that's what I
bike
said.
that's like 160 mils lower than my bike normally.
Yeah,
everything felt weird.
Yeah, he was on it's a Rotax. I think it's a 580 or something. It's a framer. It's actually from America. He was telling me the story of it. I think Chris Carr rode it. The Hayden brothers rode it. Like it's a pretty special bike apparently. So he ended up, unfortunately, he blew a head gasket. He was flying on that thing. So he blew a head gasket and then borrowed a bike, rode it, didn't realize it was a 250. He thought it was a 450. He got out there. He's like, why is it hitting? Like it's revving out and all this stuff. And then I goes, it's a 250. He goes, oh, that explains. And then I think he got fourth in the final anyway. So he was flying on that thing. So
that's good. So you didn't make it to the. So they do it. So the Burt Munro has the flat track class now. So if people listening around the world don't realise, New Zealand actually has 2 islands. So it's a bit of a trek for a lot of the North Island boys to come down. So the weekend after they do the Canterbury flat track champs, were you able to stick around for that as well? Or?
No, so we flew out the Saturday. So I think they had qualifying on Thursday. They did the first lot of it Friday and the second lot Saturday, or it might have been qualifying Friday, I think. I'm not sure. But I was talking to Blake Gillard. He's one of the fellas, him and I think Scott Wilkins. They do a lot of the organising over there for it. And he was like, you should stick around and all this sort of stuff. And I didn't realise that it was happening until we were already booked our flights and all that sort of stuff. Otherwise, next time I'm going to try and do it. But
yeah, I actually think that would be right up your alley because it was actually the Canterbury Sidecar Champs as well. I know it's not dirt track sidecars, but speedway. But it's a good spectacle, another good track, similar, quite different from a really speedway, but the cars, people park up on the top of the hill, sort of looking down into the track is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Which is really great for spectating. So really awesome.
I think it was like if you look at it already, and I saw pictures of that. I think it's called Moore Park, is it?
Yeah, Moore Park.
Yeah, we did drive past when we did like a lap of the South Island. We went past it, but it looks like over here a lot of the tracks you're sort of removed from the circuit a fair bit, and you're a fair way away. So it's pretty cool to be able to be like right on top of the race and be close to the bikes. You get roost on you, and you get to hear it all, and and you can hear the profanity coming out of the rider's mouth sometimes when they make a mistake or something like that. So, yeah.
And so going off the subject of flat track and speedway for a second, was that your first ever beach race?
Yeah. I've ridden on the beach before, just mucking around when I was a bit younger, but we went out on, I'd never done a beach race before, and I was lucky, like with the Burt Munro, if you're an international rider and you want to ride, it's actually free to enter. So you do all your entries and all that sort of stuff. And for the beach, you could put the day license and all that in your entry, and it costs you nothing. So the only thing I think I had to pay for was a Speedway New Zealand day license, which was about $40 or $60, and that was it. So outside of organising the bikes, there was no cost at all, sort of to compete. So we rocked up. I think we flew in on the Monday, made our way down, and I met Michael Braithwaite. He organised he had the 450 for me, and we went out to the beach for a little practice early, just a couple of little runs just to make sure that the bike was right and all that sort of stuff, because they run, Abgas and everything over there and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, we had a bit of a run on that, and that was a bit of an eye opener for me, like just the washouts and the stuff. But it was just send it, I guess. That's we rocked up, and there's no practice on the beach either. Oh, there was sort of like 1.5 laps, but that was it. So it wasn't much. Yeah.
Still, what I found was pretty amazing. You're getting roosted at like 40 metres away. I wasn't on a really fast bike. I was on an 04YZ, and the modern bikes just had legs over me, no problems. And I was just still like I could see the lead pack, and I was still getting hit from roost.
I rode the clubman class, and I did the 50 lapper, and the problem with that is in the clubman class, you got like adventure bikes, there was road bikes, there was all this stuff.
Right.
And this one fellow on this, I don't know if it was a 1090 KTM or whatever it was, but same thing. He could be 50 meters in front of you and he was smashing you. And I ended up with bruise, like both biceps were bruised, my chest is bruised, my legs were bruised, like proper, could barely walk. But it's still like, it's such a rush, especially like Tom, you've been to Bathurst. I don't know, have you ridden Bathurst, Darcy?
Yeah, he's done it.
Yeah. So like for me, at Bathurst, it was cool because you could tuck in and you could like look at the crowd. You had a bit of time to wait. And then at the beach race, you just like, I could near do like me buddy shopping list in my head. It was that long, the straights were that long. I was like, this is awesome. Like you just pinned. I'm like double checking that I'm in fifth. I'm like, yep, she's just going. That's all I got. You know, so
Yeah. It's funny you say about the double checking. You do that on the longer tracks because you just want to make sure you're in top gear and
yeah.
it goes forever. But bits of seashell and driftwood and seaweed getting thrown at you.
Oh,
they don't clean it all. They didn't the years I did it.
Oh, they did it pretty good. They moved all like the wood and stuff away, and it got real choppy in the bottom, like the pit side corner was really chopped up, and then the other end was a bit wet, so it was a bit slippery. But it was overall it was pretty good. Like it wasn't too bad. Once you got out of that pit corner, like you made it out of there, the only other thing you sort of had to worry about was like the braking bumps coming into the top corner, and you just went a bit wider or a bit tighter, and you sort of missed them. So it wasn't too bad, especially for I wasn't I was hooking in, but I wasn't going as fast as some of them fellas, like coming in on one of them road bikes. I don't know how they were doing that, but yeah.
So out of did you only do the turbines or did you do something else as well?
No, so I did because I could only organise those sort of bikes, and I wanted to see how it went and everything first. I'm hoping to go back next year, and I'm tossing and turning whether to send me 450 over there and leave it there and do that or what, but I wouldn't mind getting some wheels to be able to do, because if you had a 450 realistically that had all the stuff wired up and a set of 17s, you could do the hill climb. They do a drag race on the main straight at Terratonga Park, so you could do the hill climb, the drags, the beach, the flat track, and the supermoto if you wanted to, supermotard, sorry, if you wanted to, if you had one bike with sort of 3 sets of wheels. So it's something I'm thinking about doing, but it's just...
I don't know if they would let us do supermotard on 19. We're asking the question because you could still do all the same events, because you can actually get, if you don't want to use the American pattern, you can actually get road tyres like they use for the classic bikes, and that will fit on 19s. And then that way you only need the 2-wheel sets of motocross front and rear for the beach, and then 19s you can do everything.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a title. I guess if it's a title class, how it's the NZ stuff over there. So that was the thing with the beach race as well. Like the 450 class or up to 500 class was their NZ beach race championship. So in order to enter that, then you had to have the license and all of that sort of stuff. So that's why I just stuck to the 50 and the clubman. But it'd be worth asking the question, because realistically, you could use the tyres to do the drags, the hill climb, and the super motard, and then swap over and do the beach and the flat track. So it's get them all in, really. That's pretty much every event. So
yeah, well, they didn't have flat track, unfortunately, when I went. The long track was going to be, and you could use 2118 or 2119 then. So I had supermotard wheels and motocross setup. So I did the beach race, I did the street race, the hill climb, and the sprint race out on the circuit. And it was awesome fun. Awesome.
Unfortunately, the street race, the 2023, they still had it. And they were sort of saying that time that, with all it was in the industrial area of Invercargill, and with all the new buildings going up and stuff happening, it was getting harder and harder to sort of secure it, and unfortunately they lost it. So they were talking about hopefully going out. There was another place east. They used to have it years and years ago, but I can't remember what it was called. But they were talking about. I
can't either. That's where I raced the first year. The first year I went, we raced out there. It was about 10 or 15 minutes out of town. And then they gave it away. No, I did that 2 years, sorry. And then the third year was in town. Yeah. So I was pretty lucky, actually, because, I got the race. both of those circuits, and yeah, it was a hell of a lot of fun. But street racing is something else. It's differently different. What's Tom? He's on Tinder again.
No, I just messaged him back to work. No, what I wanted to know is Darcy and I always talk about international riders coming over and doing FTN. Did you speak to many riders in the flat track, and if they're interested in coming over and jumping on a bike?
Yeah, I was talking to I met sort of all of them at once, so it's a bit hard with names and that. I remember like Tony and Drake and Blake and a couple of the fellas there, but they all seem pretty keen, to get over, especially Blake and the younger fellas who are really having a good crack over there. So it's just a matter of money and all that sort of stuff, and getting over and getting bikes and that, which that's what I was saying. Like, I've got a bike there. If someone wants to have a go at, because I probably won't do all the rounds, or if I do, I'll do like the clubman class. So if one of them wanted to come over and have a crack at the Pro 450 or something, I'm sure there's bikes around that people would give them a go on. So they were all pretty keen, because flat track over there, Darcy probably knows better than me, but it seems still sort of in its infant stage. Like, the riders are organising it and all that sort of stuff, and they do a really good job of it. Like Blake and that did up all our grids and everything like that, and put the marks out and stuff. So it hasn't sort of blown up to that point where it's, being sort of political and all that sort of stuff yet. So it's actually really good. So, yeah.
It's not quite standalone. It's not quite at the standalone stage yet where they can run just flat track events. So they're still building, but the numbers are definitely.
The diehard riders that do go to all the events and try and build it up would think, well, if Australia's got a championship that's already established, that's called the next best thing until they start building up to have a national or a state championship that they can.
Look, I think like Jim was saying, I think they'd love to get here if they can get there. And when my bike's 100%, and I'm sure it's not going to fail on them, there's another one they can use.
That's the big thing too. You don't want someone to come all the way over here and then have something happen, So it's hard, but at the same time, I think it's doable, especially if there was some sort of, there might be people over here who want to go over there and they can help out with the bike, and vice versa, So if there is anyone out there, let Darcy know, and I'm sure he can hook you up with whoever, or jump on that NZ New Zealand flat track page. And
I'm happy to be the middleman. I have been a few times now, so I'm happy to be the middleman and just keep growing the sport. It's fucking awesome, to be honest. Like, it's the same with me going to the Netherlands. If I didn't start this podcast, I wouldn't be riding over there either. The flat track in New Zealand, that was the same thing. I said, I see you've got a meeting on next a couple Saturdays away. Anyone got a bike? They went, oh yeah, I can lend you a bike, and off we go. So it works both ways. It's not because I'm a podcast host; it's because I'm asking. So just ask. If you don't ask us, like if you're in New Zealand listening, if you don't ask one of us, then you're never going to come over.
Yeah, well, that's and like, they're more than happy. Like, I just jumped on that page. I didn't know anyone from a Barras Open. I just messaged, and Wayne or Drake was more than happy to let me have a ride. And all that sort of stuff. So it goes both ways. I'm like, there's plenty of people over here who have good heart and good intentions and just want the best and want bikes out there. So yeah, like you said, just ask the question.
Nothing wrong. Yeah, nothing wrong with a bit of cross referencing and making sure the person's trustworthy and stuff. I told him to charge you. I said, rent it to him. make a little bit of money out of it. You might as well rent it to him. I think he was too nice. What was that about the beach race?
$10 a lap on the beach race. 50 lapper or not.
There is wear and tear and everything. I wouldn't. Someone said, "Oh, well, can you give me $200 towards the bike or something?" I wouldn't hesitate. It's still,
Yeah, I just still the money for the tires, because obviously tires are a perishable sort of thing as well. So we worked out something for a set of tires and that, and I was more than happy to pay that. Like, that's the least I can do for him letting me have a ride on the bike. So yeah.
Yeah, I actually I got that for Nitsy. They even paid for my entry. But I'm not skiding here. I'm just trying to get to the point where my door is 100% open to those guys, and there will be no money, so you can do it either way you want. But, if you really, because, some people's bikes are their babies, and lending it out to someone, even if it's your old race bike and you've upgraded and you've still got that one, you probably spent a few years racing it and a little bit attached to it, so worried about it getting damaged or anything like that. So, come to an arrangement with someone and I'm sure you can make it all work.
Yeah, and obviously, that old rule always applies. If you bend it, you fix it, or, all that sort of stuff. And if you're going to make the trip to, another country to have a ride, I'm sure you're happy to, to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Oh, I'm glad you went over there and gave it a crack. That's what it's all about. And it doesn't matter what level you're at. Like, they really appreciate it too, I think, and enjoy getting to meet Aussies coming over. And they raised the Aussie flag for me, which I thought was very funny, since I'm actually legally stalking. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Did you get an Aussie flag at the track?
No, they didn't. I didn't see any flags or any of the stuff like that. But we did like the parade lap and did all that sort of stuff. It was really cool. They had like the HRD Vincent sidecars, the old Vincent sidecars demonstration, and then they had Speedway sidecars, solos, all the rest. But even the little peewees and all that sort of stuff. So it was a really good event, and I didn't get me flag raised or any of that sort of stuff. It wasn't quite as important as you, Das, but it's sort of one of those things.
You'll get there, mate.
Give it to him.
One day. It's not true what Tom says. Like, not all the Kiwis are the same, mate. So it's all right.
It is true, and I'll say it again.
He's not lying. It is true.
I
agree.
We've only done the South Island, but we were over there, and everyone we've met's been really nice and all that sort of stuff. Like, I was like, how much is it to buy a place over here? This is unreal. Apart from the fuel prices being $3 a litre, but you don't really have
that. Better what that is.
The thing is, you drive from one end of the country to the other. It'd probably only take you, 10 hours or something, like the South Island anyway. So yeah, it's not too far, really.
Food and that all got pretty expensive too.
Yeah, but I didn't have any. Like, it was a couple bucks. You get up for a pub feed or something. It was a couple of dollars dearer than over here, but I didn't have a bad feed while I was over there. So it was sort of, you get what you pay for.
Yeah. No, it is good food. The food and the dairy and all that's better. Sorry, Aussie, but it's true.
Yeah, I got a couple of recommendations from a fellow at work about a bit off topic, but he's like, Kiwi pies are way better, and he's like,
oh man, I've heard that shit before.
He's like, you got to go to Fairley Bakehouse. He's like, they're the best. And we were driving through there, and I was like, pull up. We spun around. That's the one. Went there. There was shit. But I had a pie from a bit of a rundown sort of little bakery in Tiana when we were going to Milford Sound and all that stuff, and it was like probably one of the best I've had. So I think it's hit and miss. It's the same as over here. You get a really good one or you get an average one.
Yeah. Yeah, but you've come from an area where you've had Freddo's pies and they're absolutely freaking mint. So your judgment on pies would be pretty high up there.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Pie connoisseur. We didn't realise we had Australia's pie connoisseur on.
Yeah, mate.
What do you think we ride sidecars, mate?
That's how you keep it down.
Yeah, traction.
That's what Matt said. I can do what I want and the thing don't lift. I said, mate, you did an excavator to get me off the ground there.
Oh, you'll be useless to Matt now since you've been on Weight Watchers for the last 6 months.
Yeah, I might have to do a little bit more on the chair. I think I'm going to be a bit more of a shit fight, but I'll be right.
I don't know. I watched that podcast after the Aussies, or what was it, AFTN or something. I don't know. He might be off on the Weight Watchers, but he's not off the rums yet. So I don't know if you're going to.
Yeah, so I've got to counteract it. You can't go full on.
Well, that was like, I've been doing, a bit of personal training and stuff, trying to lose a bit of weight and not drinking as much. Then I go to New Zealand and I'm pissed every night for 12 days. And it's just
2 months work on down the drain.
Yeah, so but it's worth it. It was a good time. So
yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, that's it. Is there anything else that sort of sticks in your mind about that trip that you'd like to share?
Any shout outs to anyone that helped you out along the way?
Yeah, well, like Dave Hedgehog, we met him for half an hour, probably an hour, the last time we went, and he has kept in contact and then was, we stayed at his house. He fed us, all that sort of stuff. He helped us with the bike and organised that beach race bike through Michael Braithwaite, and I can't thank him enough. And then, obviously Wayne Drakey Drake for hooking that DRZ up, because, he ended up doing the head gasket on his Rotax, and I'm sitting there on his spare bike going like, oh, geez, I feel a bit rough here. But he was like, no, mate, like it is what it is. So, yeah, big shout out to them for helping us out, and obviously just everyone who, made it possible and all that stuff to go over there. So, yeah, you have to go to the Burt. It's about $550 return for a flight from Australia. You don't need a visa. It's cheap, and it might cost you, we went for 2 weeks, probably spent a couple grand, but we stayed in accommodation in hotels and got a hire car the whole time. You could, if you camped and did it sort of on the cheap a little bit, you could get away with it for a couple grand and you won't regret it. Like, we went first time as spectators, and like, I'm already sitting there looking at what dates for next year. Like, it's something, if you can get over there, I'd recommend it to anyone. Like, it's amazing. Like, even the rally site, you have to go. There was people in town who were going to all the events but hadn't been to the rally site, and I was like, you have to go to the rally site. And like, we went out there and I got to jump on a 1929 BSA 500, an original Nick, like with the front brake on where your gear shifter is and the shifter on the tank and all that stuff. And our mate's like, jump, go for a lap, and they're just happy. It's just motorcycle enthusiasts who just want to have a good time and enjoy motorbikes and celebrate, obviously, Burt Munro. And it's something, if you can get there, you won't regret it at all, I don't think so. Yeah.
I think how many rallies like that here?
Sorry, which...
Yeah, listen to me, I'm the host.
Darcy's always going to get the first word in. I think it's something about the Kiwi tendency in motorsports. I know a fella in Brisbane that races street stocks and started a little YouTube thing, got a few people looking, whatever else, and actually got invited to go to New Zealand to race the championships over there, and he did that. And they full dressed up the cars and used race colours and all that and made signs and everything, like completely welcomed them in like they were like full-blown professionals, and they're just backyard street stock races. And yeah, went over to New Zealand with same thing, met a backyard team, and they went and had a ball for 14 days. So it sounds like, across the board, the Kiwis are keen to invite Aussies over to do whatever.
Yeah, and it's there's not many of them left. You look at all the regulations and all that sort of stuff. I think they've sort of got a bit of lightning in a bottle over there at the moment, and obviously it's going to close in at some point and be a bit more regulated. But they've got a couple. They've got that Sound of Thunder, I think it is, the other one, the big road race one that they do, and then the Burt. But there'd be thousands of people down there for that, and it's something that, if you ever been to like Summer Nats back in the day, like when it was sort of, when it was still a bit off the rails, and that it's similar to that, but a little bit less bogan. It's a bit more, it's a bit more sort of, no offense. It's just, where else can you go get, a JD for $6? You walk 5 minutes, you're at the speedway, couple minutes more, you're at the road race, 5 minutes down the road, you're at the beach. It's amazing. Like, it's awesome. So
Before Tom took us way off the subject of flat track and talked about bloody cars, I can't believe you went that low, man. Sidecar's bad enough. Cars, fucking.
Darcy. You've gone on about women's AFL for half an hour. So talk to me about going off subject.
But that's my
That's
what.
What was that? What's that noise the car makes when the keys are in it?
Which one? I don't know. What's it?
What is it? He's trying to give me shit. Tinkle, tinkle, tinkle.
I work shift work, so I do night shifts and all that sort of stuff. So I sort of, where I can, I've got a little mighty vibe that I put podcasts and stuff on. So I always try and chuck a Claver flat track pod, or Kelpie, whatever it used to be, back then. And it's always funny watching UP go at it. So good to be a part of.
I think that's half the fun, just giving each other shit.
Do you play it on? Hold on, there's a word I don't think I've ever heard before. What do you play it on? A Mighty Boy.
Mighty Vibe, it's called. It's a little square. I don't have it. It's looks like an iPod Nano. And it hooks up through your phone. Like, when you get home, you hook it in the PowerPoint and go through Bluetooth. It's hooked up through Spotify, and because we're not allowed to have our phones at work, so you can put on 20 podcasts or whatever on that. And you just plug it into the FM radio through an aux cable, and you can play all your stuff through that. So I just do that for my night shifts. It gets me through the night. So
you'd have a younger generation person totally confused. They'd be going, "What's this cable for? What's it for?"
Well, it charges through the aux. It's weird. It charges through the aux cable, and it plays the music through the aux cable. Everything. Yeah, Oh,
Yeah,
someone
right.
told me about it because when they banned the phones and all that sort of stuff, you know used to rely on that to listen to music and everything. But it's nothing worse than sitting there in silence. So I try and put on, you know, some of you guys, obviously some Rogan stuff, some Gypsy Tales, and what's his one called?
Tank slapper.
Tank
Yeah.
Slap. Yeah, try and listen to a bit of that as well to try and keep up to date with some of the stuff going on over there as well. So
Yeah, sweet. Throwing the leg over the two wheels in the Aussie stuff as well. Was that just like that? Seems a bit funny to me after you broke your back on the side chair. What made you go on the two wheels?
like I've always had that. I got a YZ125. I think it's an 01 that I've ridden a bit, and then I had my Husky that I used to do a lot more on before I did start racing sidecars.
Yeah,
And I sort of get a bit unfit, so I sort of gave it away. And then it was one of them things where, like, the bike come up for sale. It's a 2017 Honda 450, but it's bombed to the shit house. Everything's done to it, like it's fully set up, you know. And I got it pretty cheap, and it was sort of one of them things where I was thinking I was going to buy it and then just put someone on it or just use it for club days, just so I got an extra ride in. But my kids, more so Heidi than Ashton, but they've just jumped into the demo class. So I wanted to be able to, like do a bit more riding with them and get out there. And then, you know, it helps. I'm in Armidale in New South Wales, so Gunnedah, Tamworth and all that's pretty close. So when the AFTN come up, I was sort of like, I've got the bike there and I'm going to be there anyway, so I may as well have a go. So.
and so you're going to do that this year as well if you're not lending it out to a Kiwi.
Yeah, that's the plan. And I was going to try and do a few more of the rounds, but they've sort of fallen. I don't know. I'd have to have a look again, but a couple of them have fallen like when I'm working, like mid swing. So, sorry. It's sort of a bit hard to take that much time off, especially when I'm racing a sidecar as well. So,
What do you do for work? I don't know if you told us before.
I operate machinery in coal mines, dump trucks, and water carts, and all that sort of stuff. So,
yeah.
So. Yeah, it's shift work, so we do 5-4 roster, so 5 days on, 4 off, 4 on, 5 off. So I've already had to take pretty much a swing off to do Brisbane Aussie titles, and then I don't know with Townsville if we can get someone to take the bike and then fly up, we might go. But outside of that, it's another week off. So yeah.
What about this weekend? Just gone the Akubra Classic. That was you were in your off time anyway.
Yeah, so it sort of worked out good. It was supposed to be ran last year in August, I think it was, and just due to low numbers and stuff, they ended up rescheduling it. So yeah, Heidi rode the demo class and I rode the two sidecar classes down there. Unfortunately, we only got 3 sidecars to it, but still got to get some laps in and got a hat out of it. So it was a pretty good time, and we got to watch some pretty awesome racing in the solos too, like Kirkness turned up and sorry, I'll just grab a drink.
That would have been awesome seeing Kirkness back on a bike, especially in camps. That would have been sick. I would have went up there just to watch that.
Well, between Mick Booth came out of retirement as well, he jumped on a 4 there. So, and they actually had a 500 class. So they had a 2-stroke 500 class. So they were all in
out as well.
I think he did. I think he took the 2-stroke class. I know one race he was. I don't know if he did it on purpose. I know he was celebrating. He was doing a big wheelie, and the 2 bikes come either side of him over the line. I think they got him on the line.
Oh no!
But I think he already had the points in the bag. But it was just like to see them things, you know, a grid of 500s powering around there, especially on an oil track where they're just hooked up the whole time, was pretty awesome. So
I noticed one name missing was Matty Davies. Was he there or not? He wasn't on the riders list, I don't think.
No. There was a fair few missing. I don't know, like, you know, obviously Aussies coming up and stuff like that. But yeah, there was Kirkness took it out, the Akubra class. Jet Carter was there. He got 3rd. No, sorry. Kirkness got 1st. Mackenzie Booth got 2nd, and McNamara got 3rd in the main class. I think it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then what was it?
You don't have to say who got where, because if you get it wrong, you will hear about it. You haven't got it written down.
No. But yeah, it was cool to see like the older guard. You know, if you can call Kirkness that, I don't know. He'd be going on 50 now, wouldn't he, Tom?
Oh mate, he'd be pushing it. I reckon he feels 50.
You know, to see him powering around and then having the likes of Jet and Mackenzie Booth and all that on his tail. It was pretty cool to see.
And Mackenzie Booth, bit of a shout out to you, Mackenzie. I reckon he's got a lot quicker. Like when I first started going out New South Wales tracks and that, he was always in the mix, but he was sort of back a little bit. But I've noticed in the AFTN in the 450 class, he's generally in A group now. I think the first year is in B group a couple of times, but it looks like you're really picking up your game, which is awesome.
And I think comes from a good crop. Like Mick can pedal a bike. He was around for a long time. And to see, like you said, Mackenzie sort of step up, take that next step, and be up there pushing it. It's pretty cool to watch. So
yeah, definitely, and it's an awesome track, and I really love that. It's Green Hill, isn't it? I've never remembered that Kempsey.
So Kempsey, but just out of Kempsey, there's a little sort of suburb called Green Hill, so that's where it is.
Yeah, and it blew my mind when I went there. I've only been there once, raced there once, but it blew my mind that it's just right next to all the houses. Like, there's not many raceways that survive like that anymore.
Well, I did my school in Kempsey, and I remember when I was in year 5 or 6, we used to walk around and hand out free tickets to the Akubra, to all the houses and stuff. And I was talking to one of the fellas from the Macleay District Motorcycle Club on the weekend, and he said, we still do that. They go out, give everyone around the area free tickets and stuff to come in. And actually, on Saturday, they had a heap of rain early, and it was like a couple of inches of rain over the couple of days leading up to it. So it was flooded. And I didn't think we were going to get on the track, but they got it back, so it was free entry for Saturday. So yeah, they got it all going again, and the track was actually almost too grippy after the rain. It was crazy. Like, we went out for practice, and I was like, oh, it's going to be slippery. And by the end of the first round, you're pumping your back tire up to try and get it to brake traction because it was just driving. So it's just
right. Yeah. And so they brought the magic carpet out.
Yeah, they got a spinning brush on the back of a tractor.
Yeah,
they used it a heap with that, the roller, and then the carpet, and it came good.
Yeah, it stunned me out when I saw them dragging the big carpet around the track.
It just creates, it works.
Yeah, it works, soaks it up as well, soaks up that excess moisture. Yeah, so just explain to listeners that might not know what an Akubra is. So you won your sidecar class, is what you're telling us. You got an Akubra, you got a hat. So you just explain what it is.
Yeah, I'll show you. I think, Tom, you've got one of these. You might have 2 of these, actually. I'm not sure, because we think we got one, but it's Akubra hats. They've been made in Kempsey for, I don't know when they started, probably 100 years ago or so. But yeah, they sponsored that event for 33 years. So the winners, the top 3 in the 450 class get Akubras, and then the same with the sidecars. So sorry, bloody voice is going. But yeah, so you
need some alcohol. You got to get off that health kit you're on.
Despite what Tom says, I don't normally talk this much. So
yeah,
but I think
I'll show you my call log with every phone call we've had. It doesn't go under 2 hours.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I think you looked them up. They're a $330 hat. So it's
shit.
Yeah,
great. I see.
Sorry,
they're an awesome prize.
Oh yeah,
they're unreal.
I've managed to I've got 4 of them here. So I don't think I've been to an Akubra without bringing one home. So it's
because you keep going in the classes with only 3 bikes.
Yeah,
Here we go.
That one was under the table.
Now the bastard's hitting you below the belt. How many hats have you got?
1.
You bought it, didn't you?
Hey, no, it's the plastic trophy. In the shape of that. I got a 3rd place in the
participation award.
The first couple of years that I went, like 17, 18, it was, a couple grids. It was pretty awesome racing. And then we went in 2022, me and Tom. I think there was 4 of us. It's sort of unfortunate. Like, it's part of the times, I think, with the cost of living and everything, everyone's sort of struggling. And then you whack in the crowded schedule that we have. Like, there's so many meetings, and it's hard these days to get. And it's not just sidecars. I think you see it we saw it with the Victorian. I don't know if it was an Aussie title or what it was down there, but struggle for numbers. And then the Akubra, and then there's meetings all over the place that are struggling. So I don't know what we're sort of something's got to happen in the future to to correct the course a little bit, which, AFTN's doing its part, but I think there's a bigger sort of picture that needs to come together for everyone to be able to keep doing it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the golden key is, or the golden goose, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what it is exactly either. Obviously bringing costs down while keeping racing and venues safe and operational was a big part of it. But not quite sure the golden ticket is.
And it's
true.
It's unfortunate too. Like I said, I used to go to the Akubra when I was, from the age of 5 or 10 to now, and to see the hills stacked with people, and then there'd been like 4 or 5 grids of solos, 3 or 4 grids of sidecars, and everything. To now you go and there's still people supporting the event and stuff like that, but it's just you have to pick and choose. And I'm sure you pair know, obviously, with doing the AFTN and then Tom doing the sidecar stuff, you got to pick what you go to now. You can't do them all anymore because it's just you can't afford it. So it's something where we've got so many events. I think we counted out once, Tom, but it's like 35 or 40 events over the year, or 25 or 30 events over the year that all want riders, and you're all trying to grab from the same pool of riders. There's only so many of us, and it's hard because a lot of the young fellas want to do the AFTN and stuff like that, and that's awesome because it's obviously going to hopefully it turns into like a professional sort of series, and they can pick up a few big sponsors and get some real money behind it and drive it. And then I think that'll, the rising tide floats all boats, as they say. So that'll help everyone, I think, but it's just a matter of time and opportunity for people to get out there, especially, like we went away for the weekend and we camped at the track and stuff like that, but you still don't get out of it for under $1,000. It's between tires and fuel, it's hard. So
it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, hopefully I'm around for a lot longer yet and actually get to see what does happen. It's always exciting, and I mean the sport has gone up and down a lot in the short 12, 14 years or whatever I've been involved with it over here, and I think. I don't know. It needs to sort of simplify a little bit. Yeah, we can't get rid of dirt track. Yeah, we've got 19s too. That sort of has complicated it a little bit in some ways because it's given more options again. But I guess we'll just see what happens in the future.
Yeah, I think like I had this sort of discussion with someone on Facebook the other day, like on just a friendly discussion. It wasn't sort of like a angry sort of thing. And I think there's a place for both because I think a lot of the skills you develop in dirt track translate to the flat track, and that's where you
100%.
You look at the people that have come from dirt track, the Baylisses, the Stoner, all them sort of people. So it obviously has something to add to it, but it's just a matter of, I think the scheduling could be a lot better. I think there's a lot of clubs who, have the money and the backing behind them, and they try and do as many meetings as they can a year. And then there's other clubs who can only do so many, and it's just the scheduling and the approvals from MA and all that sort of stuff. It ends up being, a meeting gets postponed, and then all of a sudden it's a week before another meeting, and then this other meeting misses out or whatever. So I think some sort of structure in the scheduling of open meetings, like have it on, whether you have 10, you put in and there's 10 opens a year that are in the first week of each month, and then have certain allocated rain out days. And that's just for, your Aussies, your state titles, and the clubs that have those. If you want to run an open meet like the Akubra, but you have a state title, you run it in conjunction. So the winner of your state title is your Akubra winner for that year. And that just, you get all the extra riders that are going to turn up for who want to ride a title class. You get to advertise for your sponsors. And then, with the other 3 weeks, that's where you tie in the AFTN or you work it in so that it's, because there might be an oil track where you can have, the 19s are the preferred tyres and all that sort of stuff. And you sort of got to work, everyone's got to work together to make it happen. But I think it's just, it'll happen eventually. I'm sure there's, everyone wants it to succeed. So it's something where everyone will come together. It's just a matter of getting everyone to agree. But, yeah.
I think, unfortunately, to make it all work together. And like you said, pulling riders from the one pool and have it's the same as this year, like it was the same as last year. I don't think they really sort of looked at it closely, but you are running meetings like it's good they've got one of the Aussies at the start of the year and one of the Aussies at the end of the year, so it's not too much of a shit fight at the end of the day. But I think there's still 2 or 3 meetings throughout the year that always are back to back, and I think it's either MA's got to they're going to prioritize titles because titles are the ultimate. That's what everyone's going for. That's the pinnacle of the sport. But with the open meetings, at the end of the day, they're going to have to just maybe not issue so many open meetings. Like you've only got 52 weeks of the year. We don't race in December other than the Brizzy Cup, and we don't race in January, and we don't race half of February. Like I know people want to break, they want to go on holidays, they don't want to miss out on racing, but it's kind of you've got that's what they've got to prioritize to try and get it all to go together. So
Yeah.
there's no
I
real
think,
simple answer to it all. At the end of the day, there can only be suggestions, but
yeah.
if they're worried about why we're not going to the Akubra, but we're going to go to Canberra in 2 weeks to test before the Aussies or whatever whatever we're going to be doing, well, that's
So that,
reasoning
that's where
behind
we got
it.
to get the. That's where we got to go. I'll get the camera down there. I'll get Dusty out there with the camera.
That's all right. You just remembered your online orders for Who's Your Tires. It's still got my email address on it. I just seen the 2 tires that you just bought, and I guarantee they're the 2 tires you're going to be using at the Aussies. So
One of them is I've already got one in the shed, but it's the same tires. But yeah,
yeah, no. When I saw it come up, I was going to message you. Go, I'm still on your bloody email receipt for your Who's Your Tires.
it's just unfortunate, Darcy, that they've put the Aussie titles in March because it's only 4 or 5 months on from the last one. So Tom only gets to run number one for so long, So it's sort of.
We haven't even run it once yet. So the time that we're going to run number one is the next Aussies. That's the only time.
I'm pretty sure. Didn't you pay $100 and put a post in about that or something? I thought you did that.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have get away with it. You would have got the sore loser award.
What was it? Oh, I thought you got to run it at Griffith. Did you run it at Griffith?
No. Oh, we ran the number one at Griffith, but we didn't have it. I had 48 on my jersey. Matt had 414, and the bike had number one on it. So no one knew what the fuck was going on. After that, just washed the bike and put it in the shed. He didn't do. Oh, he might have serviced it, but he didn't do a hell of a lot to it. So there was nothing changed.
Yeah, and like back on the subject of the meetings and stuff, I think the other thing we were sort of talking about was the senior open meetings and stuff. We have pretty much every junior class bar like 2 as support. So realistically, you could conjoin, senior and junior like track titles and stuff like that. If you're going to have them all there as a support class, why not just run them as one meet, and there's half your meetings out of the way for the year. The junior meetings and that opens up the calendar a bit for the likes of the AFTN and other meetings. So
quite often you see a comment like when that's put on Facebook, quite often you'll see the comment, why is there always junior supports at a senior event and no senior supports at a junior event, all that sort of shit. And it just gets all messy. People get all upset. But I agree. Why not just combine them and have junior and senior together? Seems to make a bit more sense.
Well, you know what I mean? Like I think the Aussies last year, they had pretty much every junior class, maybe barring, I don't know if they had mods, but everything else was there. It was 85s, 250s, 65s, 50s, all that. They probably did have mods, to be honest. So why not run it as one? They're all getting the track time anyway, and they're all there. Everyone's travelling. Most of them are families with seniors and juniors in them. So you may as well combine it and make a whole big thing of it. Like you look at the Bayless and how big that was. And I know that had a lot of names and a lot of stuff behind it, but there's no reason that they couldn't sort of market it a right way. And I think the AFTN's gone a pretty good way with their Facebook and the way they you turn up and there's banners all around the track and it looks very professional. And I think obviously they'd like to move to a streaming thing, I'd imagine. I'm sure you probably know more about that, Darcy, than I do, but getting over and looking at the Burt Munro stuff with the Speedway there, they have that Pits Media, I think it's called, and it's amazing. Like if they had something like that over here, you could advertise and all that sort of stuff, and the amount of money that would come in, I think it would stimulate and bring that stuff back to the sport. And And just by reducing a few events, by combining the juniors and that together, which, you know, we can all say it here, whether or not it happens, whatever. But, you know, I think there's so much potential there. It's
the other controversial one is, you know, simplify the class structure. I think for me that would make running events a lot easier and smoother and quicker. And so some people go on about, you don't get as much track time. Then I think the AFTN shows that you can get just as much track time running one class rather than being in 3 or 4 different classes.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, you know. Yeah, everyone who was in the MX Open class was in the 450 class. Every meeting you go to, it's the same thing, you know. And then they are open to it. Like we saw a few years ago, I don't know how long ago it was now, but they got rid of the under 19s class because you had a pro 250 class and an under 19s class, but essentially everyone that was on a 250 was in it anyway. So it was sort of that extra class there that was just taking up time and space. And so they are open to it. And I think you just got to get in the right person's ear and get the right amount of people behind it, and they'll do it. It's just a matter of getting it out there. So
so the MX Open and 450, I actually think you still need MX Open because you need a class where you can run your 500s and that. But whether they do it like if you're riding in the 450 class, you can't go in the MX Open class on your 450 or something like that is probably a good way to get around that. So that you don't have the same riders in the 2 classes.
Yeah, well, that's it. It used to be when they had the Pro Open, MX Open, and Pro 450. It was like, you know, and they let you ride upper class on your 450. That's one thing. So you can still ride your 450 in the 450 class and the MX Open. So, like you said, if they said you have to be on a 500 or you can only ride that class, you can't ride down. Then that'd be another thing, and sort of. But it is track time, and like we said before, there's only so many riders. So even if it is the same riders in the same class, and that's their way of justifying driving to Proserpine or Townsville, is the fact they get that extra ride until the structure of the meetings change. I don't think, you know, they're going to do it, but yeah.
It's crazy complex, isn't it?
And you can go down a rabbit hole for
bloody
as long as you want.
We've been on the phone for hours trying to restructure and figure out what's where and where's what. And it just, we got to the point where we looked at it and went, holy shit, there's like 12 weeks out of the year and 8 of that's taken up by December and January that we're not racing. And it's kind of like, fuck, that's insane.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's insane, like driving 21 hours to ride 15 minutes at the max.
Yeah.
It's, if you thought about it too much like that, you wouldn't do it.
No.
If you look at the classes at the Australian titles coming up here, they've only got one class for the sidecars. I'm not just saying it just because it's us, but we're the only ones that only have one class. You've got
what's
got 2. Slides.
What was that? They've got the Australian titles on Tinder. What was that? You're looking at your phone.
Hey, you're the one who's on Grinder, so you calm down, all right?
I might have to turn the fan on here. It's just getting hot in here, is it? Or what's going on?
I don't know. I've never been on Grinder. Is that what happens? Is
it? Yeah, sure.
But it's like Tom was saying, like we went to the Akubra and, you know, they're good enough. They put on the Le Mans class, which is pretty funny. Like your passengers have to run. So it makes a bit of a spectacle of it, but it is like we got 10 races, you know, over that weekend for our entry money, you know, and it's a lot of racing. So like even, you know, they put the second class on at Proserpine for us to sort of help out with driving and get some more numbers there, and we did get more numbers as a result of that. I know a few people who weren't going to go who did go because there was more rides. So it is one of them things. It's sort of, sidecars are a bit of a specialist machine, obviously being a custom built thing and all that sort of stuff, so it's not like we can go jump in the quad class, you know. So but it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. We've all got to, you know, go out there and sort of do it, and there's other meetings I'm sure where we'll get multiple rides and others will only get one. So yeah,
to get to them ones.
Yeah,
I can't believe I've allowed so much talk about sidecards on this flat track.
You sidecar rider in to do an interview. What do you expect?
Yeah, I knew it was going to happen. That's exactly what I expected, Tom. Exactly.
It's like going to a long track meeting, and you hear the long track bikes start, everyone runs to the fence. You hear the sidecars start up, and I know, like when I was a kid, and I know a heap of people that have said it to me, and just in passing by, and I'm sure Tom's heard the same, that they all think we're mental, but they'll be sitting at the canteen or talking to their mates, and they hear the bikes fire up, and they run to the fence just to watch the spectacle that is these pair of bloody fellas on a 1,000cc bike flying around a track trying to hold onto it. It's something special, and
Great to watch.
they don't have it anywhere else. We're sort of real lucky. Like there's speedway sidecars and stuff, but I think they just do circles, so it's whatever. But we've got brakes. I guess it's sort of counts.
Just throw in a little bit of a tiny bit of a right hander, and now you're a lot more special than the speedway sidecar.
We've got brakes as well, so it's whether they work or not, whatever. But it's it counteracts itself a little bit as well.
So
but
you're not that mental then.
Nah.
Speedway riders are more mental, is what you're saying. They've got no brakes.
Yeah, sometimes. I've met a couple of them, and I'm sure Tom has too. There's a couple of them, definitely.
Oh yeah, they're all different breeds, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So being as prepared as we normally are, Tom has got some special questions for you. What are they, Tom?
Well, you kept talking and stole every single one of them. So you tell me what the questions are going to be, Darcy.
No, we must have something for him. Yeah, if you weren't a sidecar racer, what would you be?
I don't know. Like, I'd like to be a commentator, to be honest. When I did my neck and my back and that, when we had that big stack, I was like, I messaged Ray Darcy from Tamworth. He does a lot of the commentary for there in Gunnedah and stuff, and that's something I think I'd like to get into, just because, I don't know, my wife hates it sometimes, but I'll go to the meet and she'll come, and I won't see her all day because I'll just go talk to everyone. I just and I'm sure you guys are passionate as well. Like, it's the same. It's something that's in your blood, and you love it so much that I'd just like to, if I couldn't race anymore and I couldn't ride sidecars or anything like that, I think I'd still go to all the events and try and be a part of it as best I could, whether or not that was flagging or helping out or whatever. It's sort of, always try and be in it somehow.
Commentating's an awesome one, mate. We need more of them too, and they definitely bring an event to life. I think commentating, it's something that's a necessity, and I hate events that don't have them. Like, I totally understand it's hard to get a commentator, especially when 99% of the time they're doing it for nothing. But yeah, I just love the atmosphere, hearing that voice over those little speaker cones, and even if you can't understand them properly, I just think it brings an event to life.
And if you get a good one, if you get a good commentator, they can change the whole event. I know that Scotty McKellar used to do it up at Brisbane for some of the big events, and he obviously being a fan of the sport, he'd be losing his brain. You could hear it. You couldn't see him, but you could hear it. There'd be a pass in the turn one, someone's riding the wall, and he's like, oh, he's like going off, but it was, everyone was on the edge of their seats just because it was like this, he built the stuff, and the one at Kempsey on the weekend was really good. I'm not 100% sure, sorry, but I'm not 100% sure of his name and all that sort of stuff, but I've heard him before. I think he did Newcastle sidecar roundup like 2018, and that, I'm not sure if you know who that was, Tom, but probably not, but...
No, I don't think I wasn't there, no.
Yeah, but he gets right into it, and he, has a bit of a spool and stuff and all that, and those and Ray Darcy's the same. Like, he'll always try and talk to you in the pits and stuff, and chuck in a bit of personal stuff, like if he knows something's going on or whatever, so it can really add to the atmosphere of an event and bring it alive, especially if it's a long day for people to sit on the hill and watch, and something like that gets you on buzzed up for a bit can really get it going, especially if it's good racing. So
yeah, so two more for you. I just thought of another one. What is a must sidecar racer's diet? What food should what's a must at a sidecar racer? I think pies might be part of that answer.
I don't have them that often, to be honest. I know it sounded like it, but I don't have them that often. But I think you just have to eat something. Most of the time, you probably, not always, but probably a little bit hungover the morning of a race meeting. So a good bacon and egg roll from a canteen doesn't go astray, But I used to be, one of my faults was I used to not sort of eat. I'd always feel sick and stuff like that. And I thought, I won't eat, I won't feel sick, But then by the end of the day, when the finals come around, you got no energy and you're busted because you've had nothing all day. So I think obviously there's some healthier options like bananas and stuff like that, but I don't mind a good steak sandwich or something from the canteen on a race day. You can't really beat it, can you? So it's sort of, yeah.
There's a heavy side to that dietary requirements, I reckon. I think there's a bit of race strategy going into that diet.
Yeah, sometimes, like, going from Tom swinging, I've got my new passenger Brody. He's, I don't know what he'd weigh, probably 70 kilos. So it's a whole different thing. The first time I rode, I almost flipped us straight away because I just went to turn like I did with Tom, and the thing come up, and I'm just like, oh shit, like I've got about a fair bit of weight less. So it's sort of, I've had to sort of try and counteract that, and then I think Tom's gone the opposite way where Matty's a bit lighter than I was, so it's sort of it helps, he has to help get a bit more traction than he probably had to with me. So it's sort of one of them things where it goes both ways. Yeah. So
maybe we should start. I don't know what you'd call it, because dinking is the word for taking a passenger over here. But I reckon maybe dinking flat track. How would you go racing with someone on the back of your flat track bike?
Dublin,
It'd be a feature race.
It'd be exciting to see who made it to the end, I guess.
It'd be challenging, wouldn't it?
I'd like to see more of the and it is, obviously we're a professional, amateur sport, but we try and be a bit more professional and bring attention to the sport for the AFTM and all that sort of stuff. But like I said with the Le Mans class, I think they used to do a few handicaps and stuff in the solo and make the likes of Kirkness have to go through the pack to get the win, and it made that you didn't just have one person winning all the time. It sort of spiced it up, and I don't know, there is room for something like that, like a bit of fun, that's one cool thing about the old postie bike GP. They make them run to the bikes and start them and all that sort of stuff. I don't know. Obviously, a title event, you don't want to be determined on the fact if you got a Kickstarter or a bloody electric start. But there's always room for a bit of a novelty sort of thing, even though the sidecar.
New Zealand, they quite often do reverse grid. So
they did that for the final, and I think it was for the Repcharges, the last chance qualifier as well. So I ended up on the front row of that. I got fourth in the last chance qualifier, but that's what sort of hindered, like Blake and that all had to start from the back. So it was cool because they had to work their way through and had to come right through the pack. So something like that would be cool. I'd like to, I know they do gate picks over here, like whoever's top on points and stuff like that. But I think the gates are really not irrelevant because obviously there's better gates sometimes, but we all start on concrete or on something like that outside of like a long track event. So it's sort of, I don't know, you've got to add a bit more incentive into it somewhere. So.
Yeah, all right. Well, last one is a very simple one. Who are your sponsors? Do you want to thank them? Give them a mention before we sign off.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of people who help us out. Obviously, Send It, Ultra Energy, they hook us up with some energy drinks and stuff like that to keep us going. And then we've got MCS, Motorcycle Specialties, Turner Cycles and Outdoors, the Prinnery, Parkwood Grazing, Shark Leathers are actually hooking us up with some Kevlars, which hopefully we'll have for the Aussies. So try not to get them too dirty up there. But and then just everyone else who makes it possible, and all my family and friends who despite whether they like it or not, they always get behind me and turn up and sort of give us a good luck to get out there and have some fun. So that's what it's all about, So we wouldn't be able to do it without them and the likes of you guys and everything, putting, advertising the sport and putting it out there and everything. It's always, like when I did started my sort of podcast stuff, the Send It Motorsport podcast, which is a bit stale at the moment, but it'll come back eventually. But everyone gives you a bit of shit for it, but I think you guys do a good job of it. So you should be proud of what you're doing and all the reach you got. So well done for that.
You must be doing it wrong, Jim. How many episodes have you done and you're getting shit? We've done fucking shitloads and we don't get shit, do we, Tom?
No, not at all.
Maybe we're doing it wrong.
It was actually a Speedway rider that said it to me. I can't remember who it was. It was after the Speedway titles, and they said, "Oh, put that on your podcast," or something. I'm just mucking around, but I was like, "Oh, I was like, where'd that come from? I've only got bloody
Yeah, so I was going to give you a pod to send out off here. We were sort of talking about it, and like you said, you haven't been doing heaps about it, but so people know, it's the Send It Motorsport pod. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it'll be on Spotify eventually. It's sort of something that come to life when I wasn't riding, and I wasn't sort of. I had the idea, I was going to be a commentator. I was going to start streaming events, so all this stuff, and I spent all this money and did all this stuff, and then I eventually just started riding again. So when I've got a bit more time and that, I'd like to jump back into it, and much like what you guys do, but not obviously the same, bit of a different twist and all that sort of stuff. Cover a few other things like the speedway and that as well, but. It's
well, they need one. I don't think they've got an Aussie Speedway podcast, is there?
No, that Heat One Motorsport, I think it was. They were doing heaps, but I think they sort of stopped out a bit last year. I think the last one, because I used to listen to them a fair bit as well, but they haven't done one for a fair while. So
I thought they did. I thought they had Jason Doyle on not long ago.
Yeah, I think that was the last one, but that was like during the GP season last year. So I don't know.
Right, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so I don't know if they're just waiting for the GPs to start up again, but they, they cover the GPs and like the solo stuff, but I'd like to cover the sidecars and obviously dirt track, flat track, and all that sort of stuff as well, and just bring a bit more attention to all of us bloody animals out there doing that stuff. So
cool. Yeah, so check it out. It is on Spotify. I found it before. The Send It Motorsport podcast. There's a couple of episodes there. I'll check them out too and give you the Darcy review, tell you if it's shit or if it's good. If they should be flogging your like button or our like button.
Flog it all.
Flog it all. Yeah, we're not biased at all. We think give everyone a crack. As you've heard me bang on many times, no one should have a monopoly of anything. Share the love or get into it. And we love the sport. Thanks for coming on and giving everyone a bit of insight. Jim's on Facebook. You'll find him, Jim Jobling, pretty easily. And check my page out or Tom's if you are struggling with friends with him. Well, I think Tom's friends with him. I know he's a friend of mine.
I lost hackers bloody got me Facebook I had for about 14 years, so I had to make a new one, but I've got everyone. I think I've got most people back now. So
so if you want to get in touch with Jim about going to New Zealand or anything, that's another. He's a new lead and a new spider in the web's not right. New link in the web. I don't know.
Yeah, I need the chain or whatever. Yeah, it's sort of
chain in the link. Yeah. Link in the chain. That's it. I don't know. Tom and I were talking on the last pod, which is actually out, but I haven't done the release for it yet. But and I was going on about doing the best part first, or we're talking about the world champs and shit. And I was meant to say traveling. If you travel from the south, you should travel from the south of Vietnam to the north because the south isn't quite as exciting. But I got it all upside down and sucked it up like normal. So anyway, that's my apology and explanation to anyone that listens to that.
Is that the flat track around the world? Is that that?
Yeah.
I started listening to it, but I when you asked about coming on here, I started listening to it, and then I can't remember if we must have pulled up or driving or something. So I've got to finish that one off. But so I'll try and.
No, actually,
sorry.
Actually, quite happy with how that one's come out, and so many things to get if you're into a bit of travelling and into stepping out of your comfort zone and going and having a look at some racing around the world. There's plenty of it to go and see, and as we said on that pod. I was missing a bit, so there was some information I couldn't get. And of like Flat Track Canada have got a great series. They actually used to do really good broadcasting of it, which I've been struggling to find. So I'm not sure what's happened to that, if it's fallen away or not. But that's
Peacock or some one of them bloody things.
It's gone somewhere else. But that's a really good series. The New Zealand stuff is a little bit hard to find dates and that because you have to go scrolling through the Facebook pages, but hopefully they'll get a web page happening at some stage and that will make that a bit easier. I know there's flat track going on in Japan, but I've been struggling to find out about that as well. So once again, anyone listening to these pods in other countries where there's flat track going on that we might not know about, let us know. And sidecar racing, if anyone sidecar racing not speedway sidecars, but something like grass or something similar to a dirt track, yeah, let us know. I'd be interested to hear about that, and I'll put you on to Jim so he can talk to you on Send It about it, because we don't have sidecars on here.
Righto, Tom. I think I listened to.
Well, Tom's getting shitty, look, because he didn't respond to that one.
He's got a match.
To be honest, I was reading something, so I completely missed it altogether.
He said he doesn't have sidecars on here, and I was like, well, righto, Tom. I was like, we're here. I think there's
Mate,
two
trust
versions.
me, I'll throw it in there as much as I possibly can. But then
He
again,
fucking does too. Yeah.
I hear this whinging Kiwi go, "Oh, it's a flat track pod." It's like, hey, well, sidecars race on flat track, so what's your problem?
I think I heard a couple pods that were. You could probably nearly make one pod out of the Victorian women's AFL team talk, couldn't you?
Oh, good.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think everyone knows all the teams and all the players and the results from the last 10 years.
But they're doing well, because I don't know half of that shit.
Yeah, I had so many people say to me, "Can you tell Darcy to keep talking about motorbikes, not about bloody football?" I said, "You sent him a message to tell him." Like, no, you know him better.
Well,
Yeah,
Darcy,
I get the message. I get the message. Don't fucking sulk in the...
There's a lot of women's motorsport now, so we can start covering a bit of that. Be all right.
Yeah, it would be good if they yeah, it'd be good to see lots more women. I was going to say something else, get myself in big trouble then, but yeah, it would be good to see them having some classes at the AFTN maybe, and at any event that there's enough women to rock up and make a full group. It'd be good to see. But
there seems to be enough of them around. It's just getting them all into one spot and getting them all getting along to want to race together and all that sort of stuff. If you can manage that, then I think they always put on a good meet. I'm sure Brisbane, I've seen Bryony Hendrickson was up there practicing. I think she's got about 10 Aussie titles. So if anyone goes out there and has a watch, I'm sure they'll put on a show, and they give it to a fair few of the boys, so it's always a pretty good race. And so if they can get a grid at the AFTN and make it a proper class where it's competitive and it's, got all them top girls, women there, then it'll be good to watch.
All right, Tom, we're going to wrap up because it's 10 o'clock. I know I came on late and made it a bit shorter, but anyway, Jim's drunk about 4 litres of water to keep his voice, so we've given him a good workout. Anything you want to say?
No, mate. No, just honoured to be able to race with you for the years that we did, and can't wait to race against you in the Aussies, and show you what the number one plate looks like.
I'll have to put the mirrors back on the bike to have a look at it, but
mate, they'll be facing the wrong direction. I'll be looking at myself.
I was going to say I'll be backwards.
Is this where I get out my bookie numbers and start getting the Ultimate Fighting Championship between sidecar riders going or something? Or
come to Brisbane, Darcy, and film it for yourself.
I think
we know his weak spot is spine. Tom, go for the spine.
I think if anyone can get out to Brizzy, I think that's their next. Most of the people like the flat trackers and the sidecars and everyone's next hit out. 22nd, 23rd of March, North Brisbane Motorcycle Club in Banyo, I think it's called, or Nudgee. It's going to be some awesome racing across all the classes. No one wants to lose, everyone wants to win, and it's on for young and old. So I think, if you can get out there and say hello to Tom and give him a rev up, shout him a few bundies on the Saturday night, get him wound up. So should be good.
Sweet. Well, can you still hear me? Because I hit a cable and all this shit started coming up on my screen.
Yeah,
it's all good.
No, but thanks for having me on and let me talk about the Burt and all the other stuff I rambled on with. But it's a pleasure to be on here and to have a chat.
It's good to see your full fancy hat. Very nice. Well done winning that Akubra. It's beautiful. Thanks, mate, for coming on. It was awesome. And we'll have some more chat, get you back on after the next bit, and maybe even before then, but
hopefully we can get this over there, bloody get Matty to get a couple of bikes or something sorted for Big Tom and maybe Little Tomer or something to go over there and have a crack and have a bit of fun. I think he's going to the States, isn't he, Tom?
Yeah, I think he's going with Tomer in whenever he's just after the first round of the AFTN, but he went and did that, the Clay Classic over there, I think he did.
Clay Classic.
Dan Smith.
Clay Classic, sorry. Yeah, and he ranted and raved about it. He told me all about it, and sounds like he's going to go back there again for it next year if all the planets align. So, I wouldn't mind if he's going to tee up and send a few bikes over or go himself. I think me or Darcy will pull our fingers out and book a plane ticket as well and head over. It'd be cool to have a whole group of us over there. If Darcy's not in the Netherlands or Japan or Sweden or England or America or wherever he's
Can't keep me down, man.
That's right. It's the only Kiwi I've ever seen fly. So no, I'm proud to be going over the Netherlands to go racing over there. I can't wait to see the footage results and how that goes. So it should
You
be
just got to stay away from all them chocolates, Das.
From all the chocolates. Yeah. I'll do brain freeze. Brain fog. Actually, I was going to sign off, and then you just made me realise. Probably the last 3 or 4 years, I really wanted to have a Australian versus New Zealand somewhere happening. So maybe we can get that happening over. A few of us go over to New Zealand, and it doesn't have to be the best riders and whatever. It's just whoever can make it to wherever we can make it happen.
I know they did a sidecar one a few years ago with the Roundup. They had the Southern Cross stuff, and they had the Aussies versus Kiwis, and they did it. I don't think they did the Burt, but I think they did all the tracks and stuff over there. But like I said, it's the first week in February most years. I think it's going to be the same moving forward. That's what they were saying, and it's
the same. Yeah,
free entry for international riders. It's about $550 return to get over there, and if there's a group of people going, I'm sure the accommodation and stuff will work out a bit cheaper. And then it's just a matter of Das getting all his mates together to get some bikes and all that stuff, and it'd be awesome to get a whole group over there. They're more than happy for people to go over and have a crack. So yeah.
Or even if we can get a shipping container together or something to put all our bikes and do it that way, and we'll cover the cost that way or something. We'll work something out. We've got about 11 months or whatever it is, 10 months to get it worked out. So
I'm going either way, whether I send me bike or I borrow one again. I'm going no matter what. So I've already
nice.
I've already got it off for work. So yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah, Jesus, that's planning ahead.
Yeah, no, just
as you might have figured, I'm probably not quite that organised, but we'll give it a go. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for coming on again, Jim, for the third and final time, maybe fourth and final time. And keep it sideways, guys. Go flat tracker.
Go flat tracker. Go flat tracker. Go, go, go.